Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well whenever you're watching this. It's evening right now. Just checking this. All right, good. We're in order. Yeah, well, hope you're doing well today. Hope you had a chance to watch my last Facebook Live where I started to unpack my model of reality, a guided tour of reality, I called that. And I call it the metaphysics of leadership and creation because creation is perpetual. We're always creating things. No matter what we're doing, we're creating something, creating culture, communication, signals of different kinds. And when we become aware of them, we can be more intentional about what we create and ask if it's really what we want to create. Let's dive back into the model. So, as a reminder, the registration for my exclusive mentorship opportunity that starts in December and then goes through January of 2025. It's called Your Next Steps to Success is now open, or YNS2S. It's limited to just four motivated visionaries who want to transform their lives in 2025. And we are going to deeply contemplate and define success and then implement in 2025 for a transformative and life-changing experience. And I'm talking a little bit about the mechanics of exactly what that looks like. So, because that's what metaphysics is. It's like the mechanics behind the mechanics. So let's jump into that. So this is the model. This is how I see reality and humans embedded within reality. So yesterday on the live stream that I did yesterday, I unpacked the central part of the model, which is the five realms of reality, the five metaphysical realms, which are motion, life, action, strategy, and purpose. And I'm not gonna go through them again here. It's very tempting for me to always review this whenever I explain it, but it takes a while. So simply go back and watch the previous one if you didn't catch it, because it is important. Everything else is built on a foundation of that. And all this stuff happens around it. And really the trick is to understand that motion and life are automatic for us. This is action. We can't stop taking actions, but are the actions building toward anything that we want? That's the question. And when we ask that question, we go to these higher realms of strategy and purpose. Again, it's automatic to go from motion to life to action. It is not automatic to go the other way. So how do we go from purpose to strategy and infuse our actions? That's what we're going to talk about next. It's the journey of the individual over here. So again, these are automatic. These arrows are not automatic. The journey of the individual unfolds this way. We're going to go back and dwell on these. So what does that look like? And then that finally allows us to do these final steps when we get clear on our vision and implement it into reality. And we're going to be talking about all this in Your Next Steps to Success. So this is the journey of the individual. Because alongside this, these five realms, which is, just been unfolding as the universe has been unfolding in time, ever since it started, we have our individual subjective experience. We all have this. So what is that like? Well, here's how I break it down. We have a self, and self is in parentheses because there is no self, at least not that I can discern. Like, yes, we have an experience of, being separate from other people, but nothing that we do happens in isolation. Nothing that we can do doesn't affect other people. Nothing that we desire isn't going to affect other people in some way. And, even the most solipsistic, self sort of isolated um, desires require a lot of other people to support that vision. So there is no self. That's what I say. We're relational, social, interconnected beings. Can't escape it. And then we're embedded in all these other social circles. So we have the family, We have teams of different kinds, right? Maybe you own a business, maybe you run a department, maybe you work in a large organization, but you have a team, right? Communities. We have communities at all sorts of different levels. We have neighborhoods, we have cities, we have states, we have nations, we even have the world and, perhaps the solar system, in due course, all these communities. And then we have the species. Humans as a species with human nature. Uh, human nature that, is somewhat malleable, because our societies do change over time, but there's parts of human nature that never change. Still, we are comparing them to an ideal. So we exist in all these different spheres, these embeddings, and we have life that keeps unfolding, and we have actions that we have to keep taking. So, how do we structure those actions? Well, I think we're doing this. I think we have two what I call rations. So there's frustrations and then there's aspirations. They both end in ration. Etymologically, they're different. They come from different language roots, unfortunately. That would have been really elegant. But I think we all have both of these, and they're mirror images of one another. And whenever I do presentations, I always like to have the audience to, fill in the second definition after I give the first because they're mirror images, like I said. So see if you can do it with me, as you watch along. A frustration is something that you have but do not want. Okay. So think about all the frustrations in your life, right? In all these different spheres, you have conditions that you have, right, that you're navigating, and you don't want those conditions. You'd rather that they weren't there. And you have aspirations, which is like the mirror image of that. An aspiration is something that you don't have, but that you do want, right? And so the fact that we have things that there are things we have and don't want, and then there are things that we want and don't have, means we're measuring everything against sort of an imaginary kind of life that doesn't exist yet, but could. And I call that the ideal. And the ideal is interesting because there's sort of a paradox. There's a paradox with the ideal, which is that we know we're measuring our life against something, this ideal, right? Because otherwise we wouldn't have frustrations and aspirations. We wouldn't have this sort of comparison that we're making to what could be, this way that we compare what is to what could be. Um, but it's funny because it's like the moment, like when we take steps to improve our condition and get closer to that ideal, what happens? Well, we find more frustrations and aspirations, and the ideal recedes, right? And so we have to make peace with that. We have to make peace with the fact that no matter no matter how close, like how much closer, or how we approach this ideal, it's something we'll never hit. But our life improves. It's a worthy effort. It's a worthy effort to approach that ideal. And so when we get clear on that ideal, when we say, okay, what frustrations and aspirations do I have about myself that I can address in my family, my team, my community, my species? And I've worked with people who pursue the ideal in all these different places, not to the same degree. And there's a question of balance for this, for everyone. But as we start working toward that ideal, our lives improve. And then when we get closer to the ideal that we once envisioned, we see another ideal, and then we can chart our course toward that. And that ideal leads us to this thing that I call purpose, which then effortlessly infuses strategy and changes our actions subliminally just from contemplating this and becoming infused with purpose and inspired to pursue it. And that's how reality works. And that's how our lives work embedded in reality. And then we're able to fill in these other steps. I'm going to do one more live, come on tomorrow, and fill in those steps that I call the universal shape of leadership and creation. These 8 steps to creating anything, implementing any vision. But again, it starts with understanding that we're embedded in these 5 realms in reality, and then having this subjective experience of the self, seemingly separate from other people, but not really, because we're all just sort of one social organism, and even one kind of grander organism, as part of existence, which brings up some ancient Greek philosophical ideas. But these are the ideas that we're going to be exploring in your next steps to success, because everyone has next steps to success. Everyone has an ideal that they can strive for in all these spheres of their life. So what does that look like? This is how we define success, is by contemplating this, by setting our sights on that ideal that we see on the horizon and that we intentionally start making efforts toward. And when we do that, we grow in status, we grow in influence, we grow in prosperity, we grow in happiness. And we grow in social capital. Always happens this way. I've never seen it. I've never seen I've never seen it not happen that way. That when we begin contemplating and setting our sights on this ideal and moving toward it, that life doesn't improve considerably in all these crucial ways. So that's what we're going to be doing in your next steps to success. Again, it's limited just 4 people in addition to me, who are ready to contemplate and really implement this in 2025. And the early bird discount expires on Friday. So please don't hesitate. If this is calling to you, reserve that spot, get the discount that expires on Friday. And I'm really excited to see you in your next steps to success. Look for the link in the comments to register. Thanks so much, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow for one more live in this trilogy. All right, take care.